Secretary.
Good evening. I am Kendra Stuckey, our secretary. I missed the last meeting. I heard it was very well ran, and we're going to try to do the same thing today. Typically, at our regular meetings, we do minutes and I read those, so we don't necessarily have any minutes, but I did want to recap what we've done. And the lovely Miss Kennedy did type this up, so give her credit. So these are our timeline of events so far, considering, well, regarding the gun range. On May 11th, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette published an article detailing Sherwood's plan to build an outdoor shooting range and the strong opposition from nearby residents, us. May 14th, Brushy Island Community Association began circulating a petition opposing the outdoor shooting range, citing noise, mental health, and lack of community consultation. May 20th, Justice of the Peace, Ms. Patricia Young Baker and the association, President Calhoun, did send a formal letter to Mary Jo of the Sherwood City Council members urging them to cancel the project. On May 27th, the Pulaski County Quorum Court approved a conditional use permit for the shooting range, adding conditions aimed at reducing harm to the nearby residents. On May 28th, the Brushy Island Community Association hosted a community town hall to explain the conditional use permit and strategize next steps for protecting residents, quality of life, and for canceling the project in its entirety. May 29th, Sherwood Police Chief Hager, am I saying that right, y'all, Hager? I know, attended the meeting with residents to discuss range training needs and community concerns. On June 9th, Sherwood City Council hosted a meeting, and they did pass a resolution to annex the highway, the 24-acre property of Landers Road, where the range is proposed, excluding nearby residences and businesses. And then today we're having another meeting for the community.
All right, we had our recap by the Secretary. Now we'll have an update from our Justice of the Peace, Ms. Patricia Young Baker.
Good evening. So as Kendra said, on June the 9th, the city of Sherwood held a special council meeting to propose annexation. And they did pass a resolution to move forward with annexation. The Arkansas code that the city of Sherwood is proposing their annexation by is the Arkansas Code 609, which is 100% of annexation. Now, what that means in a normal circumstance is that you would take, because, well, let me go back. Sherwood does not have a continuous boundary. So if you don't have a continuous boundary, you cannot do annexation. So they have to create a boundary, okay? So what they're doing is, in a normal situation, they would take the residents from Warden Road and the residents on Landers, along with the businesses, petition them for 100% participation. And if 100% of the residents on Landers and Warden, including the businesses, said yes, annexation would automatically move forward. They know that they cannot get that. There are people on Warden and Landers that will oppose annexation. So the city of Sherwood has come up with what I consider a workaround. They're going to manipulate the boundary and exclude the residents and the businesses on both sides. They've contacted RDOT to get a right-of-way from the service roads going to their property. Okay? Arkansas Code says that that's illegal. You cannot manipulate boundaries to basically work around people that oppose it. So they're creating what's called a bridge or an island. So just depending on how they work up their paperwork, because there are some steps that they have to do before it is sent to the circuit clerk's office for verification, and then to the assessor's office for additional verification, and then it moves to the county. It has to go before the county judge for approval. At that point, the county judge has the legal authority to either approve it or deny it. If he approves it, there is still a 30-day period where people within the community, we can get together and file a complaint at the circuit court level challenging that. Or the judge could deny it, and Sherwood could appeal the judge's decision, and it still moved to circuit court. Okay? So there are some things that will have to take place before Sherwood actually is able to annex this piece of property. The deal is this. The mayor is really angry at the fact that we voted in a conditional use permit. She cannot use that range until she applies for the permit. And there are several steps she has to take that has to be included with that application. She has to do the environmental plan. She has to do the impact study plan. She has to do a noise abatement test. There are things, a property devaluation. There are plans and studies that I made sure that was in that packet that she had to do so that we could be informed. She doesn't want that. I've been told she absolutely does not want any restrictions on this firing range. So that means that if it is annexed into Sherwood, there isn't anything that we can do. There isn't anything that we can say about it because we are not Sherwood. And Sherwood, let me be clear, Sherwood does not want to annex Brushy Island. Yes, ma'am. So let me show you how this works. When it gets annexed, it's going to be annexed as an R1 zone. Then the city council is going to vote. It is like restricted industrial. It's not industrial. It's restricted R1. It's a special zoning. But what's going to end up happening, because Sherwood has an ordinance that basically says they can't have a shooting range, right? But when they annex this, their city council is going to make an ordinance changing this property up here to light industrial. And when it changes to light industrial, they can have a shooting range. See, that's another workaround. So you're thinking that, oh, just because it's Sherwood, their current law says they can't do this. And that was part of the problem in 14 and 19. The community didn't want this particular project in their community. Therefore, the city council was not willing to change the zoning of those communities to allow the firing range. Okay. Yes. Because you have to remember, we don't vote for Sherwood. There is no political repercussions for them. They don't live over here. Their quality of life is not going to be affected. And in essence, what they're doing is trying to silence our voices. And so, yeah, there are days when we all feel defeated. But those are the days that we really need to just dig our heels in and fight harder for what we want for ourselves in this community. There are many things, you know, I encourage people to call Mary Jo, call Sherwood, bombard their office with our opposition. She gets tired of that. I've been told. She's tired of the emails and she's tired of the phone calls. But we got to keep it up. Okay? You got to call the county. You got to tell them, hey, we're not for this. This is bad planning on Sherwood's part. We need the county to stand with us. Yes, ma'am. I want to say her term is coming up in, I guess we vote in 26, November 26th. But we don't vote for her. Yeah. Yeah. So so people are there. So there are people in Sherwood that do side with us. I did a radio interview today, and they had people call in, and there was a Sherwood resident that called in and asked, how do we help? What can we do? So there are people in the city of Sherwood that actually agree with us, and they're willing to help us. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about what we can do so that we can connect with those people in the city of Sherwood to help us. Okay? But yeah, I mean, we have to talk about it. We have to keep this topic alive. We can't just give up. So as soon as I know, so it's my understanding, this is how this process works. Once she gets her paperwork done and she submits it to the circuit clerk's office, and then once the circuit clerk and the assessor signs off on it, like once she turns it in, she has 30 days. It's a 30-day process. Once it's all verified and goes to Judge Hyde's office, he has 15 days to decide, to render a decision. It has to run in the newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks. So, you know, we need to just be diligent on looking at the paper, because we're not going to get notice. Okay, so you're not going to get a notice. So it's going to be on us to follow up and look at the paper. I've put into a call to ask if and when they file something at the county level, the circuit clerk's office, if I could be notified. Once I'm notified, I'll let you guys know, because then our time will start running. Okay. Any questions for me? So what happens is the notice that goes into the paper, the published notice, basically what it's going to say, it should say that they've applied for annexation, the address, and when the hearing is, because they have to go before the county judge. What I am unclear of, that I have asked, is it going to be an open hearing or a closed hearing? Usually a closed hearing is just procedural. You're just checking the boxes and the judge makes a decision. An open hearing is where we actually get to go and talk about our opposition or our support. I would think, my assumption is that this will be an open hearing, because there is so much opposition. But I don't know that for sure, and I have not been told if it's going to be open or closed. So, right, Terry Hollinsworth. So all Terry's job is to make sure that the legal description is correct, that they actually own the land, it's free and clear of any clouds on the title, and that the other paperwork she submitted is correct. And then it goes to the assessor, who makes everything, she double checks it for the taxes, who pays the taxes, who's listed as the owner, who's entitled to. It's just a checks and balance. I can't speak of that. I don't know.
All decisions are made on the golf course and tavern, restaurant.
I don't know. I can't answer that. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave that. That's an action item for you to do, Jeff. I ain't doing that. Any other questions? It will be Judge Barry Hyde. He is your county judge, county administrator, whatever. He didn't make a decision to go forward. No, so that was misinformation. So Sherwood bought the land, right? And then they had, I want to say Cromwell, somebody, architect, dropped the site plans. The site plans then went to the county's planning department. The planning department is who looked at the site plan, looked at the stormwater plan, floodplain plan, and then they signed off on it. That's now where I don't know who approved it, right? Because in that hierarchy, it's the coordinator, then there's the manager supervisor, and then there's the executive director. So you've got the coordinator, who is Jim Kramer, then you've got the supervisor, who is Van McClendon. So I don't know if Van signed off on it. And then you have Tab Townsell, who is Mary Jo's husband. And then up from there is the judge. So it's a couple of people. And so what happens is that Van is the person that goes to the planning board meeting. And what happens is, so then it on the staff level, it gets approved. So it got approved, right? And so then Van takes it to the board, and they have a meeting, and then he makes a recommendation to the board. So I'm assuming, if I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure it was Van that said the staff recommends approval. And then the board takes that recommendation into consideration, and then they approved it. So this is where it gets a little convoluted. You know, did any of those people actually go tell Barry Hyde that the shooting range was attached or not? His story, because I asked him, his story is he's always known that there was a public works building being built. He did not know of the shooting range. I wasn't part of the conversation. I just know what the man told me. I asked Tab Townsell what was being built down there because Jeff called me and asked me what's being built at the end of Lander. So I asked Tab, and Tab told me from his own lips, Sherwood's building a public works building. He never alluded to anything else. So, I don't know. She's choosing to do nothing. She has not applied for a permit. It is not her intent to apply for a permit. It is her intent to get annexed into Sherwood and bypass us because she doesn't want the restriction. Now, what I've been told is, let's say it does get approved, because I've been calling Sherwood City Council people and talking to them. Let's say it gets approved. One of the city council members, and we only have, I'm going to be honest, we only have one person on that whole council that supports us. One vote on that council isn't going to do a whole lot. But there is one person that says that if annexation is approved, what she is willing to do is talk to her fellow council members about hours, times, buffers being put up. That's correct. We have no benefits to this project. Okay, so Ms.
Okay, is there any way we can go ahead and put some of those additional out there, for them and start besides that,
So,
copy down?
so this would be my suggestion. I think that it is best to go ahead and let's start having those conversations about what we can and cannot live with regarding the firing range, just in case it doesn't get approved. Because the deal is this: if she's not stopping construction. She continues to do construction, and their argument is, well, you know, we constructed it, we need to be able to use it. So if in fact annexation is denied, that means county has control. That means if you want to use it, you're going to sit at the table with us and we're going to talk about it. And we need to be prepared to talk about what it is that we can and cannot live with. Because if we don't, what'll happen is those meetings are going to take place and we won't have a say because somebody else would have made those decisions for us. So we need to be more proactive, and we need to move in the direction that annexation is going to be denied. So we have to wait for the process to go through. So what we can do is, let's say Judge Hyde approves annexation. If he approves annexation, there is a 30-day period of what they call you do nothing. And in that 30 days is when you can file opposition to the circuit clerk. And so then it goes before a circuit clerk judge, and then they hear the argument of why we oppose it. And then that judge makes a decision. Yes, Mr. Lewis.
Williams. Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams. We running out of time, so I don't mean to cut you off. You got some great information, but we're running out of time. We got to keep it moving. I'm sorry.
So if you, let me tell you, if you do decide to go to the city council meetings, Sherwood has an ordinance that says that if you're not a resident of the city of Sherwood, you are not allowed to speak. So you can show up, but she's not going to let you speak. Okay. So the best thing to do is to call a city council member. And I don't know who you know, but I know that on the 9th of the special meeting, the one, you can go back and watch it and try to figure it out. The one city council member that sides with us did not attend the meeting. And all the rest of them voted for annexation. You can speak at the meeting. They will verify your address, and you can speak at the meeting.
You want to talk about it now?
So, okay, so yeah, so anybody, it's my understanding it's two things. You can only speak, A, if you are a city of Sherwood resident, and B, you can only speak on the agenda item. So if the firing range is not an agenda item, you cannot speak on it. So, a couple of things. The quorum court does not have jurisdiction over the firing range. You can go to the quorum court meetings, you can listen, you can, at the public comment, say what you want to say. But at the end of the day, we don't have jurisdiction over it. The board that has jurisdiction over this is going to be the county planning board. But that is the county court. So there is a county court, and then there's a quorum court. They're two different things. So don't get it confused. The quorum court does not have any jurisdiction over this. So even though Judge Griffin gave wonderful information, he gave misinformation, because we do not have jurisdiction over this project. The quorum court is the legislative body of the county. What we do, our job, is to oversee your money, your tax dollars, the budget. We pass rules, regulations, ordinances, resolutions. So think of it like this. Quorum court passes laws. We oversee the money, and the sheriff's office is to enforce. That is it.
One other question. I am a representative of the sheriff and a
If you have a Sherwood address. If you have a Sherwood address. If you you live in the unincorporated area, you, you cannot because they passed an ordinance that says that if you are not, I was at the meeting on Monday, Mr. Williams, and Shelby Thomas, the city council member, specifically said that this was a privilege for us to be able to speak. Shelby. I understand that, and his mother lives here, but that doesn't mean that he is supporting our cause. And, I mean, he sits on that city, he sits on that city council member with Mary Jo, and he is accountable to her. He voted for it. I called Shelby, and if Shelby wanted to vote no to annexation, he would have voted and he would have listened. I called Shelby. So I'm not going to stand here and lie to y'all that Shelby is with us. Is there any other questions?
You want to talk about the map or not?
Okay, so yes, so some of the conditions that we may want to think about is so I spoke to Mr. Fuller, Reginald Fuller. So when we think about conditional use, like, I don't know if any of you were at the Quorum Court meeting when the ordinance was passed, but one of the things that Chief Hager condition that we would want to hold them to. When they said that only Sherwood was going to use it, that is a condition we want to hold them to, because now he's backed up and said they're going to open that range to whatever law enforcement agencies want to use. So there are things that have been told to us that now they're walking back on. So those are the things we really need to start thinking about. You know, the people that work at home, you know, if they're only using it 4 hours a week, well, what day of the week do we want to let them use it? Do they get to use it 1 hour for 4 days out of the week and no weekend? You know, so those are the things. Like, I was told that, I think it's Bentonville, they have a condition use. They don't use theirs during the week. They use theirs on the weekend. But when they use it on the weekend, people say it's like a war zone. Because they're just going off. They've got to get it all in. So those are the things that we want to think about. Days of the week, hours, who can use it. Do we get notice? You know, when they use it, what kind of notice do they have to give us? But those are some things that we should think about. And we need to start talking about it. Any other questions for me? Oh, you wanted me to talk about this? I'm sorry. Okay, so this, the purple here is the city of Sherwood property that they bought. It went away. Okay, so that's their 24 acres. The property around it, right, including across on Warden, means that those people, so purple is the city of Sherwood, and everything that's labeled around it is within 500 feet of that project. Okay? So that's how you read that. Okay? So how they did it was, you look at the 24 acres, and that's their property boundary. From their property boundary, they had to measure, the county measured 500 feet in all directions from the boundary, and then they labeled it. So there are some of us in this room that got a notice, and that's how we knew that we were within 500 feet. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did they specify what type of residence it was?
They haven't specified, but I had a meeting today, and there was some, because we were trying to figure out if it was a pistol range or if it's a long range, rifle range. The shooting range on the site plan that I was given is 100 yards, so most likely it is going to be used for a rifle range.
Okay, so they kept all around about multiple acres. We know how much it costs to purchase the land and the cost of building, construction, et cetera. They are gonna be out
over here that had a question.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, about what's going on here in town. I've been over there for 6 years, and I'm coming from a very big city. But what's happening, what I see happening, what I saw happening, is a black people of my town. Once something major was put there, they want to get their money back. They're gonna find ways to try to push you guys out, property owners, they're gonna look for ways to push you out, force you to move around, so they can get their money and move their people in. This is just one step in trying to claim take over, rush out, like I've seen before at home, and I've seen I'm fighting for my home, just as a renter. I am fighting for my home. I'm 64 years old, I cannot be doing a bunch of moving around. These folks just want to make money. And there's a lot of things like that. But we have elderly people who live here, and it's gonna be a big thing. I said, so we need to stand together. The young and the old deserve what you want from your children and your parents.
Yes, ma'am.
I called the Philippines. I just haven't called back. All right, moving along. I know. All right, yeah. We bring-
no such thing as a fair fight. And I invited the NAACP to be here tonight, both Jacksonville and North Little Rock. And what I've said at every meeting is what Sherwood is doing to us is just like Jim Jones did when he took all them people over yonder and told them to drink this strychnine and die. That's what Sherwood is telling us, to drink this lead poison water and just die. And brother, and I can never remember how to say your name, but this is a good man right here. And I've been trying to find out how to get to the health department, a representative at the health department, to give us a letter to speak for us that this lead poison will kill our whole community. And I would ask us if we would join in with NAACP and get this young man right there. I know he can get into the health department and find somebody that would do that for us. If we give him the authority to do so, he's a fighter, and he don't believe in fighting fair either. There ain't no such thing as a fair fight. You gotta use the back door, Charlie. Will you agree to help us out, brother? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, that's what we need to do, get the letter from the health department that this firing range is detrimental to the death of every one of us citizens that lives out here in Brush Island. Thank you. And he'll pass that on. Sister Deborah, y'all
Appreciate it, Mr. Jeffries. All right, moving along. I know Miss Patricia Young Baker covered a lot of things, but we're going to move on to community concerns with Miss Betty Watts.
I just really wanted to kind of speak words of encouragement. We had a lot more people here at the last meeting than what we have here tonight. So you that are here, I want to encourage you not to say there's no need in us doing it. We've heard all your complaints with the board. I'm speaking in their behalf. We've heard all your complaints about the noise and the lead and the bullets, and someone said, are they going to pick the bullets up? Because I think that armory out there, they require every 5 years to go out and clean their grounds. So, and then someone was speaking of a concrete wall. We are hearing you, but don't give up on us, because the more we talk, she went back, the mayor, went back out and said, we're shooting toward the landfill. Now, she didn't do that just to be nice. She's doing that because we are being heard. So don't quit. That's what I'm wanting to encourage you. The next speaker is going to make some suggestions for us to do individually. Do it so that our voices can be heard. If we do nothing, then they take complete control. So we don't want to quit. All of you that are here, encourage your neighbors to do something. If we do nothing, then we know we're lost. And we may lose, but I ain't going down without a fight, okay? We may lose, but we gonna fight, okay?
All right, right before we have Miss Kennedy Young come up, we have Pastor/Officer Byron Calhoun to give us some words.
Good evening to everybody. Good evening to the panel and everybody. I would say this, and really, I think what I would probably be saying is, I'm not as tall as them. Let me pull this down. You're laughing too hard. You too. Listen, I'm gonna say this. So, a lot of stuff has already been said already, and I just want to reiterate, as law enforcement for about 20 years, and retired military, everything we do is based on safety. And so we have to figure out what our approach is going to be. So I was speaking to a few of the members of the board, and I was asking them what is the process as a community. Do we want to try to stop it, or do we want to say, okay, they're going with it, so let's make sure we hit them from a safety approach. And as one that has had to shoot on a lot of gun ranges over the years and still have to qualify, you're supposed to qualify at least twice a year. You just brought up a good point, and he brought up an amazing point. You have to start hitting them on the conditions, and those are conditions such as what days do we want them to shoot on, or how high do we want the barrier wall to be, or do we want a concrete slab to stop it? Now, every time we shoot, we're supposed to clean up the range after we get done. So those are things we can do. However, once it becomes their range, they're going to do just like this chief said that, I believe you said he said. He's going to tell us, well, it's going to only be us shooting. I can tell you right now that's a lie. When you own a range, you can rent it out to other police departments, and they do it all the time. And when you go out there, if that range safety officer is not out there, whoever the highest ranking official is get to run that range however he or she see fit. And so those are the things we have to be careful of. So guess what? Those with PTSD, those that have dogs in your house and all that, they're going to be running wild because the shots are going to be fired all the time. So you have to approach them on the fact of conditions. When do we want them to shoot? When don't we want them to shoot? But as soon as you say that, then this is going to be the reality. And as soon as they do it, a year down the road, they'll change the rules and they'll have their own vote. And so you have to stay in their face. So these are some of the things I was saying. We have to have a safe, and that person I want to introduce you to is here as well too. You have to have a safe meeting of the minds, and this is what I mean. If there's any way possible, you have to get either the head of this committee, Mayor Joe, and you have to get the county judge and see if you all can request at least a sit-down. You can see if you can request a sit-down. I'm sure she's probably done that already. That would be one approach, but watch this. When they go in that meeting, that agenda has to be set because they have a job to do just like everybody else. They don't want to waste their time. But at least, like she said, you'll be heard. And trust me, they hear us and they see us. And so you have to make sure that you stay vocal about it. The other thing I was going to say is this, and it was said already, and I'll take my seat right after this. You said something amazing. Judge Griffin couldn't say it like he wanted to that day because he had to be safe in his capacity. But if you really want to be heard as a community, you probably need to come together and get an attorney. Those are the people that's going to fight and be able to put stuff on pause and be able to make stuff happen rather than just us going individual or them just see more black people. All right? So we're going to call a spade a spade. That's what they see when they see us. All right? So we have to make sure that we have a safe approach. And sometimes we go in there with the right agenda, then they'll hear us, and it's something they can take back to their committee saying, listen, y'all, we might be able to meet them halfway and do this. That's if the project cannot be stopped. Now, I just found out something. I'm not sure how true it is. I think I just found out that rather than it being shot, the angle I thought it was going to be shot, I believe you said it's going to be, the shooting would be like towards the freeway. And I guess I have to see that from a better angle. But from a safety approach, from military, police, and just experience, everything that's within 500 feet, I'm going to tell you right now, the way I was seeing that in that burn, that's your property on the top left, I believe. I'm sorry, back further. And that's my mother and my father's property where you see the pond and everything in there. This is what's dangerous about that. If there's no concrete barrier, don't think just because, yes, we had to do psych tests to become police officers, but there's crazy police officers out there too. People play around on gun ranges too. Are we supposed to? No, but do we get out there sometime and play around? Yes. And so what does that mean? That means if you're shooting and there's no concrete barrier, if you shoot to the slight right, and you do the distance, if you get somebody to do the distance of how the speed of a bullet and how it travels, the distance that it takes, that if you shoot at an angle, how far over it actually moves, you're actually putting all those people in danger. So what am I saying that to you? I'm saying that to say this for. Make sure that when you go to them and when we have those sit-downs, we go to them with safety concerns. Because if safety is going to be their protocol, that's how you have to make sure you interact with them. And that's what they'll see. The other social media piece, I have to talk to you all about that a little bit offline because that person is here. But it's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm telling right now, it's more than one way to skin a cat, but you have to make sure you do it the right way and do it the professional way. We could go out there with signs and stand up there with signs and rally and march and all that all day. But unless you have the right people in place, it's not going to happen. Appreciate you. What's that? If I don't know it, I'm going to make something up, but I can't lie like I want to. I can't lie like I want to because I'm in church. I'm a preacher. I get paid to speak. I'm willing to speak anytime. The question is, are they willing to hear what we say? So we have to get put on that agenda to make sure we get it done. And she has some real. She was saying some real stuff, and that's exactly how it is. So now, my question, I told Travis and I was telling Carrie, I want to know now if at any other meeting, do they get to stand up and speak at any other meeting? Why did they limit us? So I want to know how those rules work. But if she allow it, I will. So that's why he made an amazing point. And I'm glad he said it because that was going to be one of my things. Sherwood turned this down, I believe you said twice. All right, now, so they snuck it in the back door. And the tax bracket or the tax people is going to think is going to be Sherwood. So now you have to have safe social media presence to say Sherwood. This is what's about to happen. The thing that y'all turned down, they still built it because they bought a $150,000 property for I'm going off here saying $170,000 property for $800,000, and they're gonna recoup that money somehow because these are politicians we're dealing with. They know how to make money. They know how to take prices up to do it. So I mean, so we gotta let the citizens know what's going on, and if somehow we can get to Judge Hyde or his panel or his staff, then that's when you can have that meeting to say these are our concerns from a safety standpoint. That's how you got to hit. So you have to approach it from if you want to shut it down, know how to do it, which I would recommend. And then the other one, and there's too many of us that's retired that don't say you ain't got no money because I see some of your houses and what you drive. so I mean, you have to know how to kind of come together as a community. But we got to talk about that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's the stuff we have to talk about to come together. So you don't have 17 different personalities going up there to talk about something. We should have one agenda together as a team.
Hey man, appreciate it. All right, now we'll have some call to action by Miss Kennedy Young.
Okay, so you all should have gotten a packet, and I'm going to try to be brief so we can get out of here. On the first page, I just want to read the words of John Lewis. He said, and I quote, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble." And then also, if you want to go alone, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We're going to go far, and we're going to go together. So, here's what we need you all to do. The first is you all should have signed in to this meeting. You'll get an email or a text message about a change.org petition for you to sign and share with your friends, family, whomever you know. This is a way for us to bring more people into our organizing efforts, and a easier way to bring more people in rather than having them sign paper petitions. The second thing is I'll ask you all, but it would be good if we could maybe meet sometime next week and we print off letters so that people can sign, and we can have a mailing party where we mail letters to Mary Jo and mail letters to Barry Hyde. The fourth call to action item is I need you all to think about the networks that you are in, the people, pastors, friends, business owners, people in the healthcare industry, and see if they're willing to write a letter of support for the neighborhood in opposition of the shooting range. My hope and idea with gathering letters of support, we already have 4 from the churches in the neighborhood, or maybe 5. Churches in the neighborhood, daycare in the neighborhood, a gym owner who has friends in the neighborhood, and then a nurse. My hope is that we can compile a bunch of letters of support to send to the judge and then also send to Sherwood City Council to also show that it's not just people in the neighborhood that are concerned about the shooting range. It is people across Central Arkansas that are concerned about the shooting range, and the concerns that we have are legitimate. And then the 5th action item that I have for all of us is to call the judge and Mary Jo. If you have a piece of paper, I have compiled important phone numbers for all of you and email addresses. The first one, the top one, is for Judge Barry Hyde. You should call him, tell him that you are opposed to annexation, tell him that you are concerned about the shooting range. Van McClendon is the Planning and Development Director. You can call him if you want to. Tell him that you're opposed to the shooting range. Then there's some other government people I've listed. State government, our senator for this district is Jamie Scott. Our representative is Mark Perry. I encourage you to call them too. To let them know that you are concerned about the shooting range, so that maybe that they can be brought into as just added leaders of support. And then the last block of folks is the Sherwood City Council and Mary Jo. I would call Mary Jo's office, ask to speak with her. They might ask you for your address. You do not have to give it to them. Just tell them you're not comfortable with it. But we need to keep bombarding her office. Like my mom said, she is annoyed that people are calling. She is tired of people calling. And that's why we need to keep doing it. On the next page, I have a sample call script for you all for Barry Hyde, and then also a sample call script for Mayor Mary Jo's office. It's short, brief, but it's just a template, because I know sometimes when you call, you can get anxious, you don't know what to say. So this is just a sample as a guiding template. The next page is just a timeline, what Kendra read earlier, so that you all know, I mean, this has been a movement of people over an extended period of time, and we should be proud of how much work that we've done since May 11th. But we got to keep the momentum, and we got to keep movement building. We got to keep bringing people in. And this is phenomenal, you all. The amount of work that we've done, the fact that we've done something every single week is something to be proud of. And I think we need to keep this organization going and this momentum going. And then the last page is just a map so that you all can see the proposed annexation site. And the 2 maps at the bottom, the one on the left, you can't see it very well because it's in black and white, but it just shows you how close the property is to the neighborhood. And then the shooting range on the right is Jacksonville shooting range. So you can see how much further that shooting range is to residential neighborhoods. So this is your packet to keep. I need to know, are you all willing? I know, like I said, we've done something every week, but I need to know, are you all willing to meet again next Monday and have a mailing party where we are writing letters to send to the judge and send to Mary Jo? Yes? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And we'll be quick. It'll be 30 minutes. We'll have letters printed off. If you don't want to have a letter printed off for you, you can write your own letter and we'll get it printed. But that way, I think organizing and movement building is easier when you're doing it in community. And if we dedicate 30 minutes where we're all just going to meet, write, sign letters, mail them together, I think it's sometimes easier just to do these activities in community rather than in isolation. And then regarding pastors, friends, business owners, I would encourage you when you get in your car to identify 3 people that you can ask to write a letter. Talk to them about it, and then if they say yes, reach out to someone on the board for them to send the letter to, and we'll probably post it on the Facebook page, but kind of keep a list of who we've asked, who's agreed, and then also keep you all updated when we're ready to finally send that off. Time is of the essence. Annexation's happening quickly, so like I said, think about those 3 people when you get in the car. Call them tonight or call them tomorrow. And I guess just be on the lookout for confirmation about meeting next Monday so we can write letters. And like I said, that'll be quick, just 30 minutes, very much action oriented rather than discussion oriented. The last thing on here is I encourage you all to, I know I'm giving you a lot, but I would encourage you all to read about Lincoln Heights, Ohio. It is a black neighborhood in Ohio where a police shooting range was built next to about 70 years ago. For 70 years, the community has organized against this police shooting range. And finally, this year, the shooting range is being shut down and relocated. Obviously, we don't want it to take 70 years. But I encourage you to read about it so that you can also, when you call Barry Hyde, when you call Mary Jo, you can tell them that there is precedent. There are examples of police shooting ranges operating next to residential communities, and the city closing them because they are concerned about health, because they are concerned about noise. And that is why Cincinnati closed it this year. They cited health concerns and noise concerns for the residents. Exactly. And that's also probably why Mary Jo doesn't want to apply for the permit. You apply for the permit, then you are basically saying you are aware of the liability that you are creating by putting the shooting range so close to a neighborhood. And it exposes them, to liability. So, think of your 3 people, reach out to them tonight, text them, call them tonight, and let's meet next week so that we can, yes. I gotta read more about that because, okay, there you go. Door hanging but no knocking. So, yeah, no mailboxes. If you are also willing to be a part of the action group, maybe talk to, okay. That's it. But think about your 3 people, reach out to them, and let's meet next week, and let's start doing some other action to movement build around the shooting range to let them know that we're not done. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we were supposed to do that tonight, but because it's 7:20, we've run out of time. So maybe she wants to know when can, yeah, we could do that. When can we have a meeting dedicated just talking about conditions? What can we live with? What can we not live with? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I know we're running out of time. Let me hurry up, y'all. So, yes, yeah. I'm talking with my hands. Okay, so Secretary again, and you were going right into it, so that's perfect timing. Y'all doing a great job showing up. Mr. Williams, I'm gonna get your number. We are also working on a Brush Island History Project. We want to gather all the information. I only have what I have. I was born in Brush Island, and like my great-great-grandfather, whatever, was like one of the first 3 people out here. But we understand that it stretched way to that side, and now they're just inching in, right? And now they've crossed the bridge. So that's why this is so important. I know we're probably getting Brush Island gun range fatigue, but we're going to keep going, right? So part of this, what they were just going into, this little sheet I put in here, just information, right? Our Facebook, our mailing address, all of those things. That question you asked, I'm collecting information. Those sign-in sheets are very important. So those text messages you get probably come from my phone, so don't get weirded out. But I've been trying to text, get on the Facebook page. I've gotten a few emails, not a lot, but if you want to email, that's fine. So Kennedy, the rest of the board, we'll get together on a date to actually work on that. The next thing, committees, right? Part of, when we walk these flyers, y'all, we get a lot of feedback. I mean, a lot, and it's good. So a lot of people actually really want to help, right? So we was thinking, let's just go and get us a gun range action committee. Some people have already been working, but what a young lady. She gave me a folder full of information. Where you? There you go, right there. She on it. Conflicts of interest, right? She gave them to me. I'm going to give that to the committee when we work on it. I'm going to set a sign-in sheet here before you leave. Sign it if you want to be on this committee. So what we're going to do is all this information, legal purposes, anything that we need to move forward, including the sign party. We may can do some stuff then too, okay? The other thing we want to go into, we got Brush Island Day coming up. Mark your calendars, August 2nd. Did we say a time? We didn't quite say a time, but we know it'll probably be like 11/2 or something like that. We'll do a Brush Island Park, and we're going to need some donations, okay? If you want to write a check, that's fine. If your job wants to donate, if you just have chips that you want to buy, we will take it, okay? At our board meetings, not board meetings, our community meetings, you can bring it then, or reply to that text message that I sent out, Facebook, email, whatever you want. Let us know, and we'll come meet you, pick it up. And also, on that paper, we just want to let y'all know that we are official, okay? We just want everybody to know that we are registered with the Secretary of State. You have evidence, okay? You can look it up yourself. If there's any question about our positions, our names are listed. I told y'all I'm secretary, right? That's your vice president. Who else here? Jody, assistant right there. Secretary, it's about 6 or 7. Betty's here. We do nothing without a vote, okay? I promise. We don't really, any money, we don't really have a lot of money to be working with, so donations are very welcome. And what else I was going to say? Along with the Brush Island Day that's coming up, I'm going to let Mr. Carey come up because he's going to talk about one last thing on the Brush Island Day, T-shirts, and then I'm done.
How y'all doing? My name's Kerry. I live like 2 blocks over. I just like to try to be quiet and stay to myself. But this brought us all out, so we're here now. What we're going to do for Brush Island Day is, of course, Brush Island shirts. We just ordered a hat press for Brush Island hats. If anybody want to help out with that, you can. The money from that, whatever's being sold from the shirts and the hats, will go towards helping out with Brush Island Day. Another thing I wanted to speak on, though, is in a lot of situations, a lot of us, they trying to shut us down. They trying to make it to where we can't talk. Everybody in here has a cell phone. Me personally, I call this a weapon of mass promotion. It's nothing to make a video, post online, say, hey, this, that, and the third. I don't really want to divulge what I do for one of my other jobs, but basically I'm a social media specialist for one of my jobs. I have cameras. I have a full production company built inside of my house. It's nothing to get around to people. If you're okay with it, interview you about your concerns about what's going on. Your face does not have to be on camera. We can interview you about your concerns, your dislikes, your likes, And plus, we just want to get the history of Brush Island from the people who are still here, who can speak to the days where we weren't born yet. So if anybody's interested in that, you can hit me up anytime. Like I said, I'll give you my contact information. I live right around the corner. But we will be doing Brush Island hats, Brush Island shirts. We did a few of them last year. They seem to be cool, and we're going to try to do it again this time when we know we got ample time to get them done. Thank y'all. Maybe. Talk about it. Yeah, we talked about it.
All right, if there's nothing else to be said, we'll have a closing prayer by Pastor Jeffries. Everyone, please stand.
Dear God in heaven, in Jesus' name, we thank you for blessing us to meet and pray that you would help us, oh God, to stay united and in unity. We pray that you would continue to give us guidance going forward. Bless us, oh God, and open up doors that we may be successful in our campaign. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.